Okay guys, welcome back to Elevator Paso. We are with one of these guys who has been in business in our city for, wow, over 30 years now, right?
Over 30 years.
30 years, and he's been able to maintain and continue to keep thriving. There's so much information we could get from him in regards to be able to keep that drive. For this today, we'll be talking to Gary Dickey. Gary, how are you?
I'm doing well, Caleb. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Gary, you've been in business since 1982, correct?
Correct.
You've seen our economy go up and down. You've seen all kinds of trends. Tell us a little bit about what it takes to be able to maintain a business with such a fluctuation and for such a long time.
I would say to be primarily to be deliberate in whatever goods and services you're bringing to the table. Make sure that first of all there's still a market, and that has something to do with people being able to pay for it, regardless of the economy. So if you can find yourself get yourself into a place where the product is going to always be needed, you're in a better place, regardless of the economy.
And we're talking about having a product that everybody needs. You're in the insurance business.
Yes, I am.
There's so much information that I was not even aware of this. Tell me a little bit more about this. I was shocked to know that when you're in an accident in Mexico, if there's so much of a drop of blood, you could actually be arrested for this. Give us a little bit of education on this.
Sure. That's how I got into this particular niche, Caleb. Basically, it's two different countries, the United States and Mexico. They each have their own laws, and they differ from one another. Canada and the United States are similar in their laws. Mexico and the United States are completely dissimilar. So they can and often do treat accidents in Mexico, or can, as a criminal offense, especially if somebody's injured or if there's major damage to someone's property, including your own.
That is wild to me. I mean, it's so different to what we're used to here.
Yes.
So this is something that even if you're out there for one day and you're going to make your way back, they need to have that insurance?
Yes. Mexico and the United States don't have an insurance agreement. Neither one, Mexico doesn't recognize U.S. insurance. They require restitution on the spot at the time of the accident. So if you don't have representation or the ability to prove that financial responsibility that you have a Mexican insurance policy, they can technically hold you and your property, which is your vehicle, until you can prove insurability.
So what about all those people that work down there?
Well, generally, most of them have a Mexican auto policy. It's very common, actually, especially here along the border. A lot of people don't realize that they have to have it. A lot of people think their U.S. insurance coverage or their Texas policy covers them in Mexico, and some do, most don't. Even the insurance agents aren't really familiar with it.
Now, I've had, I will name, but one of the bigger, well-known companies that insures my car, and it says that I'm covered in Mexico, but you're telling me it's not really the same?
Well, it's not generally the same. They require representation at the time of an occurrence or at the time of an accident. So if you have an accident, depending upon the severity of the accident, if there's any bodily injury involved, they could require representation from that insurance company there at the time of the accident. If they don't, what they can do is hold you and or the vehicle or both until somebody comes from that insurance company to provide representation for you.
And your company provides this representation?
Yes. All the insurance companies that we represent that we deal with in Mexico are legally licensed and authorized to do business in Mexico. This is their field of expertise.
Now over there, each state, well, as in here, each state has a different limit as to how much you have to pay in case there's a death in there?
Yes. Oh, yes. You're referring to liability. Liability is the amount of insurance that's required. In the United States, for example, what you're required to have to operate a vehicle on the streets of Texas, you have a certain amount of injury, bodily injury, and property damage coverage. In Mexico, it's the same thing, and each state is different. So the states now in Mexico go anywhere from about $4,500 if involving a fatality, for example, up to $550,000 U.S. dollars, not pesos, dollars.
Wow. So in the United States, when you travel from one state to another, your insurance automatically changes to cover that state.
Correct.
Is that the same in Mexico?
No, it does not. In Mexico, you apply for whatever coverage you want, just like the Liberty Mutual coverage or a commercial you see, and get what you want. and only what you want. Well, the same thing applies with these types of plans. You can request specific amounts of liability insurance, up to $500,000 and as low as to $50,000.
So what you're saying is I need to figure out what states I'm gonna cross,
Yes.
figure out which is the most expensive one, and then shoot for that.
That's absolutely correct. That is correct. That's what we do to help people. We help them with their planning as far as the insurance coverage and the financial responsibility.
There is so much about this that is not commonly known. What else are we missing?
For instance, a lot of people who have Medicare insurance here in the States. Generally, Medicare only. I'm not talking about with there's certain Medigap policies that have coverage for people when they travel to Mexico. Most don't. So you're on your own. Medicare doesn't generally cover you once you leave the confines of the United States. So if you're down in Mexico, you have a medical emergency, or what have you, generally it's going to come out of your own back pocket. So that's why it's also important to check with your agent or your financial advisor as far as your health insurance coverage before you leave the country.
So this is a service you also provide?
Oh yes, absolutely. We're involved with Medigap. We can insure people who are turning 65 or over and need that kind of assistance. It's not difficult. We make it easy to understand, and it's not expensive, quite frankly. It really isn't. It's a lot less than what your health insurance costs you over here.
Is it really?
Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely.
What do you need when it comes to being able to get coverage from you?
Well, on the vehicle, if you're going into Mexico, it's the same criteria that you have to provide your agent or your company here in Texas, and that's your identification, your name, your address, your date of birth, then a physical description of the vehicle, which is the make, model, year, the vehicle identification number, and that's pretty much it. It's very simple.
What if somebody's traveling beyond Mexico?
We used to have a product that would take them down into Central America. Unfortunately, we don't have that right now. We're working with a company trying to make that available again. As of right now, we do not.
So it's just Mexico?
It's just Mexico. Anywhere in the Republic of Mexico.
Okay.
Doesn't matter where you go. It matters not.
And this is both for the medical and your auto insurance?
Yes. On the medical insurance, on the medical side, through the supplement policies that we can write for U.S. citizens, they'll cover you, depending upon which plan you get, anywhere in the world.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah, with that particular Medigap policy. As far as the car insurance, it only covers you within the confines of Mexico.
It almost seems like I need a special education to know what to get when it comes to insurance.
It's easy, it's not difficult, but you're in a different industry. Every industry has its own language. Once you understand the language, it's easy to convey the needs and get whatever you want to have as far as your own personal requirements, as far as protection.
What else do you think people should know about all this?
About this is that it's in the frontera, which is the frontier of Mexico. It's called the free zone. So you could take your car without getting a permit or getting showing a passport or showing a license or anything of that nature within the confines of what they call the free zone. Once you go beyond the free zone, like if you're going to Chihuahua, for example, from Juarez, then you have to get a car permit, you have to get through a aduana. There's all types of requirements that you have to fulfill. We can help with that. It's easy, there's no charge to help you before you get to that point, before you cross into the interior. So we can help you with that.
So I remember many times when we've been driving down to Chihuahua, we gotta go, we put a huge deposit to be able to be out there for a certain amount of time. Right. Is this the same thing we're talking about?
Same thing. We can show you how to do it through a website. We can show you where to go, when to go, how to go. It's not that difficult. There are certain requirements. You have to have a credit card. They're going to put an amount of money on the card rather, depending upon the make and year and the value of your car. And then when you return and you turn the permit in, they give you that back.
And this all on the website? You no longer have to stand in line for hours?
Well, you can have all the paperwork done prior to going into Mexico. We can assist you with that. Once you get there, you present the paperwork, they give you the sticker, and you're done.
Excellent. Gary, thank you so much for this. Where can they get information from you? What is your website?
The website is www.mxici.com, mxici.com, or they can call us at 591-8279. That's 591-8279. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 through 5:30.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Gary. I appreciate you.
Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.